I know I'm about 2 months late to the bandwagon, but can we take a moment to appreciate The Punisher? No, not the Netflix series. It's okay, but had it been about 5 episodes shorter, it would have been great. Or had it started with episode 10, it would have been brilliant. But no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the game that Volition made in 2005. It is among the best movie tie-ins possible. And it is so because the people at Volition actually tried to make a good game, not a quick cash-in to be released at the same time with the movie. It wasn't released at the same time with the movie. It was about a year late. They launched it at the same time as the DVD version of the movie, which, okay, yeah, that'll work too. There was a mobile version that was released in 2004 and I haven't played it, but it is advertised in this game. And unlike other movie tie-ins, especially most of the Marvel ones of the current incarnation, where none of the actors can be bothered to reprise their role, the Punisher himself, Thomas Shane, was in this. Now, I don't think he actually needed much convincing since Thomas Shane really liked being the Punisher. He made his own short film about him being the Punisher. It's called Laundry Day. It's free on YouTube. Go watch it. It's neat. It also has something that the movie lacked, namely blood, buckets and buckets of blood. The movie was criticized for being not as violent as something with the Punisher should have been. The game doesn't have that problem. The game had to be toned down because it would have gotten an adults-only rating. And that's because it features a lot of brutal executions that you may notice from the glee with which I mentioned them that they are marvelous. You can set people on fire, you can crush them, you can feed them to piranhas, you can have them be skewered by a rhinoceros while you're keeping them still. And all those beautiful, beautiful executions are sort of masked with filters and black and white stuff. So it's made in a way that, gives this a mature rating instead of an adults only rating. Now, if you're a sensible person, you may think, oh, my God, are you a monster? Why would you want to see a man being killed by a rampaging rhinoceros? Oh, because it's funny. The violence in this game is... it's not super duper comically overblown, but it is right on the edge of being comedy. It sort of teeters towards comedy more than it does towards being grotesque, towards being exploitation. And a lot of that has to do with the style of the game. While it does take itself serious, I mean, it's the Punisher. He's brooding distilled into a fine powder and then compacted into a perfect sphere of even more brooding. And yet, the game has levity. It has humor. The enemies are funny. They'll mention stuff like, oh boy, sure hope no Punisher sneaks up on us and kills us with a giant crane. No. Oh look, we're standing under a giant crane. Hope the Punisher... oh, we're dead. Okay, it doesn't go maybe that far. I mean, it doesn't go into no one lose forever territory. But it is funny. You do get jokes from the game. You get jokes from the Punisher, half of which are from his deadpan response to pretty much anybody trying to be nice to him. And that's the sense you get from the first couple of seconds of the game where someone thanks him for saving their lives and he goes, oh yeah, him being more focused on punching the person, threatening their lives with that person, until they pass out and probably die. You kill a lot of people in this game. And I mean a lot of people. But you don't necessarily have to murder everybody. I mean, you do have a non-lethal sort of takedown after you grab the enemies and use them as human shield. And if their own friends haven't killed them, you can just knock them out. I think you can also throw them against a wall and maybe their neck won't snap. I mean, they're not getting up. They may just be unconscious, choking on their own vomit. But it's not what I would call an extremely violent game. Though again, the executions are kind of funny. And it's not just executions. I mean, yeah, there is plenty of them, but a lot of them you're sort of not meant to actually use them. They're interrogations, because this game has an interrogation mechanic. It's what sets it apart from being just Max Payne. Because in terms of gameplay, it's Max Payne. It's one bullet time mechanic away from being Max Payne, and I often wish that it did have that bullet time mechanic, because it would have made the combat a bit more, I wouldn't say, maybe tactical, I guess, more strategic, because you do get to blow away a lot of people. And you do have moments where you have to take down people that use not NPCs, innocent people as shields, and you're encouraged to save those people. After all, you're the Punisher, you're not... What was that guy's name from the Tick? The really violent guy with guns. I know he's called Overkill in the TV series that's now on Amazon, which, by the way, is a superb series. It's back next month, so go watch it. I think it was called Big Shot in the comics. But yeah, Frank is encouraged to not kill people. Well, you can't actually shoot people. If it's an innocent person, you can't shoot them outright, like he says. No. But they can die by your negligence. And you do get penalized. You actually get penalized if during your interrogations you accidentally kill someone, which, again, coming back to the idea that started this, the interrogations. You get to dangle people over pits filled with man-eating piranha and sharks. You get to shove people in an incinerator and then turn up the heat slightly until they either tell you what you want them to say or they burn alive. But here's the thing. If they do tell you what you want them to tell you, you can still burn them alive. I mean, if they don't actually do something after that, like go to the next room and tell everybody, hey, the Punisher's here, he's going to literally kill everybody, so put down your guns, chill, and we can go home. Unless he plans on doing that, you can pretty much just kill him, which, gotta say, I kind of did in the game a lot, because the animations they have for the fumble executions are superb. Like, they really put in effort, even though they had to add the filter with black and white and pan the camera around and zoom out and change the angle. It's still funny, especially when you get to the Stark Industries, I believe, and you fight, I think, the Yakuza or something, and you shove someone's head into a monitor after a botched interrogation, and you hear someone from the back say, "Oh my god, they killed Kenji, those bastards." This being, of course, a South Park reference. There's a bunch of references in the game. You in the same mission you meet. Well, you overhear someone talking to a Dr. Freeman about a cascade resonance effect, and it's funny to find those little moments. The game is filled with those, and I mean it's filled to the brim. It's how a movie adaptation, or more likely a comic book adaptation, should be made. Like, it's filled with stuff you can collect. It'll actually give you a better sense of who this character is, where they came from. You have a bunch of comic book covers to unlock that will show you basically the evolution of this character over the ages, from where he started out to where he is now. Have panels from comics you can unlock with flashbacks of his life before he became the Punisher. You actually get those flashbacks by interrogating people and having them say trigger words and you just having a flashback. I usually end those by punching people in the face. Oh yeah, to finish what I wanted to say about interrogations, if you botch them, you will have a lower score. So the game actively tries to discourage you from killing the people you're interrogating, even if you broke them, even if they gave you what you wanted. You are discouraged from actually killing them. So if you want a perfect score, because if you get a better score, you can get more points that you use to upgrade your character, because you can upgrade your character, you can give him more ammo, you can give him body armor, you can give him extended life. You can make them strap grenade launchers to guns, which is always awesome. If you want that, you better be sure that you try your best to keep as many points as possible. So, save civilians, be nice to the people that you broke in interrogation, and try to shoot as accurately as possible, though this isn't what you would call a precision shooter. It actually has less precision than Max Payne does. Everything just sort of fires in a really big spread, but you do have a skill that you can upgrade to reduce the spread. Or you can pretty much just walk into a room, go to the first guy, press Q, kill him, then go to the next guy, press Q, kill him, and so on, and hope that your life isn't being drained completely while they're shooting at you during your execution animation, because they're not going to stand still. This isn't Assassin's Creed. They won't see you killing one of their guys and they say, well, let's wait for him to stop and then kill him. No, they're going to try and kill you. And the AI is, to its credit, just right. I mean, they don't act necessarily brilliant. They don't have squad tactics, mostly because you spent half the game fighting Italian mobsters. that have all sorts of intelligent conversations about who would win in a fight between Daredevil and Sonny Corleone. Like I said, the game has humor. It has levity to it. The way you see them run around when you get out of a coffin and start just unloading in them all with a large machine gun. Yes, it's a game about murdering people, but it's joyous in its way. It's not a sign that I'm mentally unhinged. No, it's a fun game. It's a really fun game. You even have boss battles where you have to fight people in certain ways. For example, the first boss you have is a guy that has body armor, so you can only kill him with headshots. It's actually a very, very small, very, very compact level. You also fight the big Russian guy from the movie, where you just have to ride him around until you smash him into everything you can. And there's plenty of Marvel cameos. Now this was before Marvel Phase 1. This was before Iron Man, and yet you had a bunch of cameos. You had Black Widow before, honestly, people knew who Black Widow was. Yeah, she was big in the comics, but if it wasn't for Iron Man 2, honestly, nobody would have cared who Black Widow was, but she was here. And it made sense for her to be here because they have a history. Nick Fury is also here. Iron Man shows up, mostly to tell Frank to piss off. Daredevil shows up, well, not Daredevil, Matt Murdock shows up as Frank Castle's lawyer. He has a cameo of about 5 seconds and just rushed out the door because he doesn't want the lawyer. This is just a great recipe for how to make an adaptation. Sure, the mechanics, they're not the greatest ever. It's an arcade shooty thing, sort of like what the other Punisher game from the arcade used to be, but well, it's better than that one. But it's sort of fun distilled down to its bare essence. We have villains shouting at you from up high, "We dare you, Punisher, to come up here and fight us." And the other guy goes, "Damn man, what if he actually comes up here?" And you do, and you shoot him, and then you get to throw him off a roof. And the game also has a story. It's kind of thin. I mean, it's not really so much a story as the Punisher went out for a walk one night, and much like Alucard, a lot of people died. And then, you know, he fights the mob, he fights some Russians, he goes to an island, he goes to a submarine. No, it was a tanker actually, not a submarine. He basically takes down crime wherever he can. He pisses off the Kingpin. There's actually some sequel bait with the Kingpin's Revenge, but that game never materialized, sadly. I kind of wish it did. And at the end, you do get sort of your movie tie-in. You do get to fight the villain of the movie, who is now in an evolved state and became Jigsaw. Pretty much every villain in every, and I mean every, well, maybe not the Dolph Lundgren one, but most Punisher adaptations, they become Jigsaw in the next one, if there is a next one. And sadly, there wasn't a next one for the Punisher. Yeah, they made another movie, and there was a game associated with it, but I didn't play it. Saw the movie. There was a bit where a guy was doing parkour and the Punisher killed him with a rocket launcher mid-flip, and that was the only good part of the movie. Can't really say anything about the game, the one associated with that movie, I mean. But this one was great. This one was fun. This one I still enjoy playing. Yeah, it can be kind of clunky. I mean, it doesn't feel as good as I remember Max Payne being, but it is so enjoyable. You get to use people as human shields. You get to dual wield shotguns. You get to dual wield every weapon in the game, and they all have independent control for each. So you can aim them. You can't really aim them independently, but you can shoot them independently and aim one of them finally. You can shoot guns out of people's hands and they will try and get another gun. How cool is that? You can shoot the guns out of their hands, and if they can't find a gun, they'll surrender until they find a gun, and then they'll shoot you. That was a thing in games for a while. You used to see it in games like Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Academy, where the enemies, if they didn't have a gun, they throw their hands up. Like they would act like people, not mindless zombies like in most today's games. And this was the Punisher. You weren't meant to empathize with these people. You were meant to kill them. But they put that much thought into making them not just be something with a gun for an arm, but actually have a weapon that you can disarm. It's an absolutely enjoyable, goofy romp through what it means to be the Punisher, but with some levity to it. Like, it's not all grim, dark. Well, yeah, the Punisher, well, he does crack some jokes once in a while, usually after cracking a skull or two, It's not all doom and gloom. It's not dark and brooding constantly, non-stop, without any sort of self-awareness. And it doesn't veer into parody either. It's honestly my favorite incarnation of the Punisher. Like, you can tell that this guy has serious problems, but at the same time it's an enjoyable, at times funny video game where you shoot an old lady in the face. Oh, she's a mob boss, so it's okay. Sadly, I don't think you can actually buy the Punisher from anywhere on the planet unless you find a box of it somewhere on Amazon or eBay, which is sad because the game is so good. I mean, Volition went above and beyond with this one. Volition made a great game, and as a movie tie-in, as a comic book adaptation, it is among the best. So if you ever get the chance to play it, do so. You will not regret it. I just sort of regret that I don't have a DVD drive on this computer because I had my complete save games on a disc somewhere. With everything unlocked, every mission done. There were 3 or 4 of them that I didn't do gold yet, still hadn't managed. But for the most part, I did everything possible in this game. I also used to have a lot of free time, so that's why the footage on the background sort of stops after the funeral. I did not get really that far, like to Grand Nixon Island, which was honestly quite a hard bit of the game. Kept dying there on higher difficulties. But yet it was still fun. So go and play it. It will be a very rewarding experience, especially if you like to see people being killed by rhinos or electric eels, and I do believe crocodiles at one point. Goodbye.